Hey, you guys, and welcome back to the Elevate Your Life podcast. I am your host, Eleana, and it's my honor to share this time with you. Today's episode is a solo cast, and it's a message that's really been weighing on my heart. And, I just had this feeling and this knowing that it needs to be talked about on the show. And I don't know about you, but there are so many opportunities in our day-to-day life that we are shown. Are we going to be living through our heart, or are we going to be living through our mind? Is our mind going to be showing up to this conversation, or is our heart going to be showing up to express itself in this conversation? And it's so easy to hide our hearts so they don't get hurt. It's so easy that once we receive somebody's rejection or unwillingness to open, that we too don't open. It's so easy to allow our minds to just take over and let that ego represent the entire time when our heart and our soul is screaming to be let out. It is screaming to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And what I want to share with you is that there is nothing to fear about being seen when you know that, number one, nothing can hurt you unless you allow it to. And number two, that it's an opportunity if you do receive that and it is causing you pain and discomfort in the body, that is unhealed wounds. And it's also a beautiful opportunity because those things have likely always been there, but they've been dormant because you've never allowed yourself the vulnerability to expose those things that reside in you to heal from, right? And when they do get exposed, are you meeting yourself with your ego, or are you gently approaching yourself with your soul saying, listen, this is here and we're going to work through this together. So what ends up happening many times is we shut down, we go through one of our trauma responses, okay, whichever one of the four you are. We've talked about them on the show before. And that's a loop that we have conditioned ourselves to respond to. And our soul gets trapped in this loop, like in a cage, basically. And we never get to the root cause because we're constantly in our loop. Same thing with attachment styles. And what happens is the mind ends up caging our soul, and we never break free, but we constantly think it's the other people. It's them that's doing this. And sure, you can have boundaries, right? So that you can, protect yourself. However, you cannot hide from those things because they are there, and they're beautiful, beautiful lessons and awarenesses to come to, and how to live through your heart, how to live through your soul, and to allow your soul the space to breathe and to express itself, and for that love to enter the conversation. Why? Because love is the only thing that heals. It is the only thing that heals. You can say 1,000 things, but if your soul isn't the one that's speaking through those words, then they're empty. They're not full. What are they backed with? And I think this is the part where so many of us are yearning for our souls to come out and play, and other people to see that and engage with us in that space. And if they don't, then we close down, and we need to break that cycle, ladies, because it's not up to other people whether we come out. It's not up to other people whether our soul is going to express itself. You get to decide that. You set the standard. You don't change who you are because of how someone else is being. You let them decide how they want to show up, regardless of how you show up. Why? Because you're not going to cage yourself. And your soul has far too many gifts to offer this world to not come out and play, to not live through you in the morning when you wake up in gratitude that you woke up in the morning, to not live through you when you're at Starbucks getting your coffee, or at the mall, or in the grocery line, and you're observing people and you give them a smile. That is your soul smiling at them. And maybe that person needed that. But because you were closed off before, now you're going out the rest of the day closed. And your soul doesn't get to come out and do and be what it came here for. So you have a responsibility, regardless of what's happening outside of you, which has nothing to do with you. Your responsibility is to protect your spirit, so much so that you're giving it the platform to live, to exist, and telling your mind basically what it's here to do. Instead of caging the soul, it's to give it the platform to breathe, right? If we have the power to control our mind, tell it. Take ownership of it. Its job is to allow your soul its rightful place. You guys, I am so grateful for how our community has been growing here that I decided to put together a weekly Elevate Your Life newsletter. This means every Tuesday, just like the podcast, you're going to receive an email in your inbox that is going to light you up, fuel your soul, and give you something yummy to digest alongside your coffee. This will include podcast updates, weekly reflections that are going to help guide you in your day or for your week, and of course, favorite finds that are making my life easier and more convenient. Let's face it, life as a mom is crazy, okay? Not to mention all the other duties we have on top. So if there's things that I've found that are making my life easier, I'm 100% going to be sharing them with you. So if that's you and you want to stay in the loop on all things podcast, things we have going on here, favorite finds, and juicy reflections, go to the show notes below to sign up to receive the first one this week. Love you all. And, when talking about the masculine and the feminine, you can view it in that way as well. We all have these qualities within us where we each have masculine traits and energies associated within our bodies, as well as our feminine energies, right? And how beautiful is it that you can actually hone in on that masculine part of you, which creates structure and stability, to create, which is our feminine, right? All creation, to create the structure, the stability for our soul to come out and play. Now you're working with yourself instead of against yourself. And everything starts to work in harmony. You start to be less harsh on yourself. You start to criticize yourself less. You start to judge yourself less. Why? Because you recognize, where within me am I not helping myself move forward? Am I the one keeping myself stuck? If so, how? Right? And where can I infuse my soul so that I can feel that sense of life force in me running through my veins and making me so fulfilled by the end of my day that I've done well. I've served well. Because don't we all, at the end of our time, want to approach our Creator and have Him look at us and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant"? You want to know that the gifts He gave you, you actually used. And you weren't stuck in this loop because of this life that is also temporary, right? So if you're with me, I want you to repeat to right now alongside of me, I will not let my mind cage my heart. I will not let my mind cage my heart. It does not matter. It does not matter what is happening outside of me. My soul is here with me, and I allow it to guide me. My soul is here and with me, and I allow it to guide me. When you live life through your soul, you don't have to wonder or worry about anything because you have complete trust and surrender, knowing that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. There is nowhere else on this earth for you to be or to be doing other than right here in this present moment. And there's a sense of peace that comes alongside of that. And so when you start to practice this new agreement with yourself, you're going to notice how much is going to actually shift in your life. and you're going to be a magnet for love and for this frequency in which you are choosing to live at. Why? Because you're going to demand other people to raise their vibration to meet you in this space. And it's so beautiful. Things are going to just start happening. You are going to receive so much love throughout your day, and people are just going to be smiling at you. Why? Because that's how you are showing up in the world yourself. And everything around us is a reflection of us back to us. Now, again, I want to remind you that there will be people who will not receive it well. Why? Because they are stuck in their loop. And when that happens, we must honor them in that space and give them the utmost compassion. However, it is not our job to lower ourselves to be with them in that place. You must hold your ground, hold yourself within your own power, and allow your soul to enter the conversation with love and that healing touch. And they must determine what they want to do next, right? It's the same thing. You can bring a horse water, but you can't make the horse drink. And nor would you want to make the horse drink, because that's forcing. You want that horse to have this desire in them that they want to drink that water. They want to purify themselves. They want to cleanse their souls. They want to do better. And you can't want that more for somebody else than they want it for themselves, because it won't work. It will never work. You're going to tire yourself out. When you do something out of kindness, right, as an act of service, an act of love, and it's not received with the same love that you're putting into it, that you would have liked and hoped, it doesn't matter how someone else is going to receive this act of service. What matters is that we're doing it from the place of the utmost highest intention, with the utmost love, with no strings attached. Like, it will not bother me, whether they take it well or they don't. Obviously I would like that. That's nice, but the intention is rooted, and it's not going to change because of something outside of that, right? And sometimes there's people that are so hurt and so they're hurt, and what they do is they cage themselves, right? Like we were saying earlier, they cage themselves, and what happens is they no longer know how to receive, and they don't feel worthy, and they feel resentful and angry and all of the things, and they've completely forgotten what it is to live with their soul at the forefront. Okay. And quite frankly, your soul is your sword. Why? Because love is the only thing that can actually penetrate, pierce, and heal. And without that, it's just empty. You're an empty shell. That is one example that it can be true amongst anything in life, where, you're showing up for something and, it doesn't go the way you planned. Do you shut down? Do you go in a cage? Or do you stand firm, right? Regardless of the outcome. And, living through your soul isn't always easy, but my God, do you have that sense of worthiness, fulfillment? You know who you are. It doesn't matter, because you are living for the gifts God gave you. You are living for the gifts God gave you. That is what we're living for. And if you're living for anything else, that's great, but it's temporary and it will fade. The gifts God gave you are eternal, and they will have a domino effect that you may not see, but it will last for generations to come. And if you're ever wondering what legacy you're going to leave behind, let it be the legacy that you lived as well as you could, with the best of your intentions and the best of your ability through your heart. I'm sending you so much love today, and I can't wait to hear your messages and how it is that you've been living through your heart and letting your soul shine.